The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
This is Gerard with episode number 11 of Florida's Fresh Mix on the Florida Podcast Network, a random mix of Florida's freshest personalities. This episode is brought to you by our amazing equipment sponsor, Mainline Marketing. Listen in.
Hey there, this is Amber, the production assistant for the Florida Podcast Network, and I'm here with your host, Gerard.
Hello.
Hey, Gerard. And you know what? I am really excited for today's episode. I'm really excited for all the episodes, but this one is pretty different. Our guest is Donald Smith. He is the lifestyle director of Arden, spelled A-R-D-E-N. And Arden is a community in Wellington, which is in the West Palm area, for those of you who are not listening in South Florida. And it's actually known as an agrihood. So that's kind of like agriculture and neighborhood. Agrihood, get it?
A marriage of the two concepts, and it becomes clear why during the interview.
That's exactly it. I mean, essentially, when you hear Donald explain what an agrihood is, you're probably going to think, wow, this is a healthy utopia that I want to live in, or at least know someone who lives there. That way you can freeload off of the amazing benefits and amenities that they have, because it's a really, really cool place, just from what he was telling us.
I've never heard of this concept before, but having heard it, I assume that there must be other communities like this in the country. It's just the first time I've ever been exposed to it. And I just find it fascinating to combine healthy living with a community that fosters that, you know, with a farm and selling organic products and with all the healthy activities they have going on. I thought it was really eye-opening.
Yeah, it's such a great concept. And like you said, I mean, maybe there are more of these around the country, but I feel like Florida would be such a great place to have this type of community.
Especially because of the weather.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you know, one of my favorite moments in this interview was hearing how Donald's time with the Boys and Girls Club as a kid and as a teenager really helped him to find his career and the career that he's in today. And, you know, listeners, you guys will hear more about that from Donald himself. But again, we have someone who values the power of mentorship.
Yeah, exactly. And this is another theme that pops up once in a while about mentorship. The through line between his being at the Boys and Girls Club and being part of Arden is community. And he's going to explain how, you know, being at the Boys and Girls Club, he found a sense of self and a sense of belonging. And he's been able to successfully, I would say very successfully, transfer that feeling into how he does so well at Arden as their lifestyle director.
Yeah, and it sounds like he does a great job over there.
He definitely loves it. I'll give him that.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that, Gerard. He definitely loves it. You can tell that he was born for this. This is his bread and butter. And it was really cool hearing him talk about all the cool things that this place has to offer the residents and just how much joy he takes in helping these residents find whatever it is that makes them want to get out of their house every day and hang out with the community. So
I can't wait for our listeners to hear his energy.
But before they hear all of that good stuff, quick little shout out to our equipment sponsor, Mainline Marketing. If you guys heard our last episode, I got a major microphone upgrade. I finally have my own Shure MV7.
It's about time. Congratulations. Now welcome to my world.
Oh, yes. Once again, I am officially part of the Cool Kids Club, and I'm never going back to the other lame kids club. I don't know. The quality of sound from the Shure MV7 is amazing. 10 out of 10. I would highly recommend. It's perfect for podcasting, and it just looks cool, okay? I mean, can't go wrong with that. All right, it is time to get right into Gerard's conversation with Arden's lifestyle director, Donald Smith.
Mr. Smith, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on today.
So for those that don't know, Arden is a community in Wellington, and it is also known as the agrihood, which kind of made me think of Boys in the Hood. But it's an interesting play on words that I think perfectly captures what's at the heart of what this community is all about. There's a farm there. People are growing their own food, and it promotes a healthy lifestyle. I found many things interesting about it. But the first thing that came to mind was I was thinking about, in middle school, like reading Henry David Thoreau, and I thought Walden. It sounds like Walden. The name Arden even kind of sounds like Walden. And it's like this utopia that people are one with nature and all kinds of people live there. It's not a retirement community. It's young people, old people, people of all different backgrounds. Am I getting this right?
100%. I feel that Arden is such a great representation of South Florida. Moving here, I've been in Arden for 2 years, and moving here, I was so taken back by just the culture here. There's so much just diversity. You have people from all over, and it's just such a beautiful, colorful place. And I had not been in a community that has such a great representation of the area that it's in. Like you mentioned before, it's not just one segmented group. You have folks from all different walks of life and from all different cultural backgrounds. So it adds not only to the aesthetic to the community, but the culture of the community itself.
I'd like you to talk more about how perfectly situated Wellington is, because it's so close to all the fun things to do downtown, but it's also kind of separate from all the hustle and bustle.
Yeah, so we are just nestled in a nice area that isn't really quite in the heart of the Wellington area. So again, you're not too far from where everything's happening, but you're far enough to have just that peace that a lot of folks are starting to search for. It's really interesting because when folks hear where we're at, when we tell them we're just a mile past Lion Country Safari, they're like, man, that's so far out there. But when you get into the community, as you're driving, you see all of this farmland, and then as all of a sudden, just the landscaping completely changes. It just goes to this lush green, beautiful landscaping. And as far as proximity goes, Arden is just 10 minutes from the mall, about 30 minutes from the closest beach. So just located right off of Southern Boulevard, you're on that straight stretch to get you from one end to the other.
In your mind, what personality types would be drawn to a lifestyle in Arden?
I feel that what draws people in initially is essentially what Arden has to offer. And that is that individual who is still looking for a great quality, well-built home, but in a community that those who move in truly believe in that sense of community. Arden is for those individuals who want to engage and connect with those neighbors and turn those neighbors into friends. Arden is the community where you want to get outdoors. There's over 20 miles of walking trails. We have acres of green space, in addition to having a 5-acre organic farm and a robust lifestyle programming with a full-time lifestyle director who's committed to really bringing out that sense of community and helping those residents build that connectivity. So those individuals, whether they're first-time homeowners, if they're starting a family, if they're relocating their family, or if they're even just looking to just downsize from a really larger home to a paired villa, Arden offers a variety for those individuals who are looking for that connectivity.
I thought about you this morning as I was reading this article about how U.S. News World Report had declared Los Alamos County, New Mexico, to be the healthiest county in the country because they've got biking, hiking trails, parks, golf. And I thought about you in Arden, and it seems to me that, with your farm and you've got many of these activities and features as well. It seems that the through line at Arden is the desire for a healthy lifestyle. How much of a priority is that?
It's such a high priority for them. And you can just tell that by going to the community on any weekend. You go there in the morning and you see folks running around the trails. You see folks biking, walking with their dogs on our perimeter trail that's a gravel path. You see that with the activity in the fitness center. And I think one of the really great things about Arden is it isn't just one of those communities that says that we have these amenities and no one utilizes them. So it isn't just kind of a talking point. It is something that is actively happening in the community that is promoting that lifestyle. And I think one of the things that really helps it is having someone there who is activating those spaces, activating these activities, but then also connecting with the residents to truly hear what needs that they want.
From what I can tell, it looks like a beautiful property. I also noted that you guys have 20 miles of trails. Just how big is the community?
So currently right now, we are in phase 2 of our 3 phases of development. And when Arden is fully built out, it'll have over 2,300 homes in the community.
The two things that piqued my interest the most were the farm and also this general store. With respect to the farm, how exactly does that work? It describes farm share season as being from November to May. How does the whole farm sharing thing work?
So we have 2 full-time farm directors who oversee the full production of our 5-acre organic farm in the heart of the community. And what they have been able to do with that space has just been just miraculous on how they're able to grow this healthy organic produce that residents can take advantage of. And so how it works is we have this wonderful software that we utilize that residents can kind of prioritize and decide on what kind of produce they like to receive in their farm share. It's called Harvey. And so this really helps the farmers really know kind of to meet those needs of their residents. So we have our enrollment season that starts at the end of July. So during the month of November through May, we have 2 different farm share pickup days. And so residents choose which day that they like to pick up their farm share. And it goes on a 4-week rotation. So every 4 weeks, they come and pick up their portion of their farm share. And so they're getting a variety from anywhere between 6 to 8 different produce in their farm share. So it's not like tomatoes. They're getting a nice basket full of tomatoes. They're getting some great green beans, kale, mixed green, potatoes. I mean, so there's a variety of things, but then also some really fun, more non-traditional things that you'll see, things from like okra, different tropical fruits. One of the ones that stand out to me the most that I absolutely love is called wax jambu. And they are this wonderful fruit that it almost looks like it has like the crisp of an apple, but it has this rosy kind of flavor to it. So it's really,
can you say
good.
Can you say that again? Because I'm going to have to look this up. You just sparked my nerd sense.
Yeah, it's called wax jambu. So WAXJAMBU. I know, and I actually like saying it too. It's really fun. It's a really cool, unique looking fruit. And so when a new resident closes on their home, part of their little welcome gift that we give them is this really cool picnic basket where it has Arden embroidered on the front of it. And so a lot of folks will come down with their bag from the preference of their produce that they selected. They go and pick up their portion of their farm share inside of the barn, which is the home of our general store as well. So a really great program. I mean, our residents also from there on our community Facebook page, they share different recipes. Our farmers will search for some of these different unique foods that most people aren't necessarily always kind of familiar with cooking, such as eggplant. We create different videos and different recipes that we share with them to help encourage them to find different ways to utilize their produce so that produce is not only getting utilized, but then they're also building up these new skills of just knowing how to cook and taste some of these different flavors.
Oh, that's great. You're not just, handing people a box and saying, run with it. You're actually giving them the tools, for someone like me who doesn't know how to cook, but also wants to eat healthy. That sounds like you're giving people the tools to actually, get creative with this healthy stuff. Does everybody get the same products in their farm share, or do they get to kind of pick and choose what they want to get?
They absolutely get a chance to pick and choose. And that's really where that software with Harvey comes in, is they're able to decide, if they're not a fan of bell peppers and they never like them, they don't want to see them, they can just make sure that's not a part of there. And so
I tell them to keep those bell peppers, all peppers and onions as far away from me as possible.
So you are not a fan of fajitas. But yeah, so they go down and our farmers are there and they already know what those items are when they come in to pick up their farm share portion. Something that we've done this past year to again really help residents be able to get familiar on how to prepare some different styles of ways to cook. We did this farmers series called Farmer's Kitchen, and we teamed up with our builders utilizing the model homes. And I was the behind the scenes cameraman and kind of producer. And then we put our farm director in front. And we created this series of videos just showing folks for different types of foods. The one that was probably the most popular one was our one that's called Everything Eggplant, knowing how to cut them, how to prepare them, what kind of types of foods would go best with the certain type of eggplant. So it's exposing them to the opportunities of being able to utilize these foods that you're not normally used to, but then also building upon what you already know about certain produce as well, and how to maximize that to continue to build into that healthy lifestyle that the families are working towards.
Do the residents participate in the farming, or do you hire a totally separate workforce for that?
So our residents have the opportunity to volunteer at the farm. It's not a requirement for them to receive their farm share. And the beauty of having our 2 farm directors is they're the experts. They're the ones who know, how to make the things grow in there. But there's also those residents who just want to get out there and get their hands a little dirty. And so we provide those opportunities for residents to volunteer. And they are a great support system into that. But again, it's not a determination whether or not you get the farm share or not. It's just another opportunity for residents to feel more engaged and connected to their community. And in addition to the 5-acre farm that we have within the farm, we also have 2 U-pick gardens. And these are available to residents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so at any time, let's say, for instance, that you're making a pasta dish, you're just like, you know what, I need some thyme, I need some basil, I need some fresh herbs in there. Well, they can just hop in their golf cart, take their shears with them, head over to the U-pick garden, snip off some basil, grab some thyme, and if there's some kale going on, they can grab some of those things from the U-pick garden, and they can head back home, and they have these fresh herbs that are growing there in the community. So they don't necessarily have to wait for their farm share, but they have the U-pick garden available for them as well.
Let me ask you a stupid question, and you're probably a very good person to ask. I've never actually looked up what organic means. I don't know exactly what it means. When I think organic, I think Whole Foods and expensive. That's all that comes to mind. No pressure, but in your mind, what does organic?
So essentially, it's not having any of the different pesticides that typically you would see on the kind of like larger traditional farms that they're spraying for bugs and all of that. We don't use any of those kind of pesticides, any of those hard chemicals. And the most kind of simple way of thinking organic is you're not getting all of those chemicals that are getting sprayed on there as the food growing from the earth is getting produced. So then you eventually, kind of incorporate that into your bodies.
Right. And then the Arden's General Store is a way, because it's open to the public, right? So that's a way to sell these organic goods to anyone who wants them. What's the interplay between the farm and the store, and how much foot traffic do you guys get from outsiders?
So how it essentially is we have a big red barn, and the front half of the barn is the general store. The back half is actually the functioning portion where the farmers have like the tractor and all of the farming tools. And it's actually really cool, especially with the tractor isn't being used. As soon as you walk into this red barn, and you've seen the pictures, you don't expect to walk in there and to see this cool looking general store in there. Then straight ahead, you have this shiny, huge orange tractor in there. And, I think of like the little Donald who would just be so in awe to just see this machine, because we're a lot of folks, we're city folk. We don't see these kind of trucks and things like that. So it's something that's really cool. But inside the general store, some of the different produce and tropical fruits that are grown, or if the crops are just kind of growing really fast, some of those extra things, those are also sold in the barn. So for example, right now, the farmers are maturing some of our tropical plants, and those tropical plants aren't producing enough so they can be incorporated into the farm share. So those items will get sold to residents and the public inside of the general store. Like, for example, we also have these amazing, I want to say, world's best bananas ever, hands down. I can't go back to a Chiquita banana anymore. It's like these little mini bananas. They're about 4 bites, and it is the most amazing experience that you have. But again, those trees are still maturing, and so we won't necessarily have enough to incorporate it into the whole farm share for the whole entire community. So those items will be available for residents to be able to pick up and buy at the general store.
Are these just regular bananas, or do you guys have plantains too? I'm only asking because I'm from the Caribbean. So I was just curious.
Yeah, so it's this and forgive me, I don't know the specific name of this particular banana, but they're like literally, about the size of just like you can stretch out your thumb and your index finger. They're about like that big.
Wow.
But again,
I'm sitting here actually doing it.
I can imagine you doing it right now. And they're so incredibly delicious. And so,
Wow.
and they're highly, highly popular. That's just something that our residents just appreciate so much, is just, again, having this fresh food that's growing that, it's free of these harsh chemicals. And so many folks are so conscious of what they're putting into their body, what they're feeding their families.
My parents live up in that area and they go to Wellington every once in a while, and they're foodies and they love to cook. So I'm going to have to send them to the general store for some of those bananas and some wax jambu and whatever else that I want to get my taste buds on. So let's talk about you for a second. You're the lifestyle director. I kind of think of your role as kind of like the fun czar. You got to keep everybody entertained. On the one hand, I imagine that it's a ton of fun, but it's also a little bit of pressure because you got to make sure that everybody's happy. What do you see as the greatest challenge, and what do you think are the activities that people tend to really enjoy the most?
I have been very fortunate to be in this community that is so engaged. And what I think has led to the success of what I've been able to do and produce to build that connectivity is really an intentional approach to it. When a new resident that moves into the community, we have them fill out this new resident form. And that tells me, what are their hobbies? What are their kids' hobbies? How many folks are in their household? And so every quarter I nerd out myself. I grab that spreadsheet and I go through all of that. I compile all of that information. And that essentially serves as my map of what the community needs are. What I'm able to do is take what the residents are interested in, definitely tap into my creativity and produce that intentional engagement opportunities that they're really interested in. And I feel that that kind of formula, so to speak, that approach has led to the massive turnout that I see at these events.
I was told that you call yourself the front porch of the community. You want to elaborate?
So when I say the front porch of the community, that's essentially one of the things that when you think of a front porch, what's that you think of? You think of just that hospitality. You think of that warm feeling. You think of just that comfort. And that's really essentially what I like to help bring out when we have our resident engagement from the moment that they close on their home to each of those events. It's being that community advocate to really, again, activate those spaces so they really see the value in the community that they are now building their life into.
No, I think that's great because when I first started reading your bio and your background, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, so he's kind of like a cruise director, right? Just make sure,
I get that a lot.
make sure everybody has fun, et cetera, et cetera. But in addition to that, people on cruises, we're talking about fleeting type of relationships and bonds that people make for a week, or et cetera, et cetera. You're talking about lasting bonds that people are making, and you're facilitating that. That's why I wanted to ask the front porch question, because there's more to that that's community based, and I think people should appreciate that. Before I let you go, this stuck out to me that you grew up in a single parent household and you were involved in Boys and Girls Club, and that resonated with me as someone who participated in Big Brothers Big Sisters as a mentor. I have to admit, I don't know much about the Boys and Girls Club. It sounds like that had an impact on you, having participated from ages 5 to 18. What exactly does the Boys and Girls Club do, and how did that affect your life and kind of inspire you to give back?
Yeah, I love that question, and thank you for asking. The experience that I got from being a participant of the Boys and Girls Club is that sense of belonging. And that to me is essentially at the root of us as the human experience. Is we all want to feel a part of something. We want to feel that connectivity. And how that has impacted my life, for my mom to be able to have a safe, reliable, and consistent place for her kids to go after school, where they're not just being plopped in front of a TV or handed a video game, but they are engaging in meaningful activity that's helping them grow and develop into well-rounded citizens. And as I went from just kind of being a kid who's going from the game room to the gym to the learning center to the discovery lab, as a kid, you don't know the impacts. You just know that you're having a great time. You feel that you are a part of something. And being in a family where there wasn't a lot of what we always wanted, but we definitely had what we needed. Some of those voids, the Boys and Girls Club helped fill those in. Not having a strong male influence in my home, I had folks like the different male staff that I built relationships with that really helped provide that mentorship so I can feel that level of connectivity. And as a teenager, participating in leadership programs and activities, working with the younger kids, really helped build that sense of paying it forward. And it was then where I realized the impact of being able to pass along those same opportunities that I was allowed to receive. And it lit something in me that this is why I'm here. This is why I have the excitement of doing what I do, because these opportunities were instilled in me at such a young age that for myself, being able to help influence that sense of community, help build that sense of belonging, that's at the root of who I am. And that's what really drives me to build these programming, to activate these amenity spaces, to actually take that time to get to know the residents on the person level, and knowing them by names, knowing their kids by names. That's how you build and help influence that sense of community, that sense of connectivity. So it's my responsibility to continue to pay it forward and embody that.
Listen, before we go, do you have any events or anything else coming up that you want to promote while you're here with me on the mic?
One of the really exciting things that you actually mentioned earlier, saying that you're going to get your mom out there, one of the things we're really excited that we can bring back are our farm tours. So starting in July, and these are open to the public, starting in July, folks can actually come and have those tours of the farm. And that, to me, and our farm directors are the one who facilitate these tours. So they're speaking with the individuals who are out there every day, growing the harvest. So I encourage anyone who's interested in checking out Arden, make sure you visit the lake house, not only to come in and say hi to me, because my office is right there to the right when you walk in the door, but to really see just how beautiful and one of a kind this community is. And that is one thing that we pride ourselves on, is just how one of a kind Arden is compared to some of what you think of when you think of a master plan community.
Well, Donald, you sound one of a kind, my friend, and it's totally been a pleasure. I want people to know where they can find you and follow you on social media.
Yeah. So one of the great things where folks can find information on the community would be ardenfl.com. And from there, you'll be able to not only find my information, but also some great, robust information on our farmers, our community, and just the whole concept of the agrihood. So ardenfl.com is where you can find all of us and all the information you need to learn about Arden.
That sounds great. Well, listen, it's been a great speaking with you. I've learned a lot, including what organic means. So now I don't have to feel embarrassed anymore. I have not yet had lunch, but now I'm very inspired to eat something very, very healthy, although I'll be thinking about those pesticides that might be there. So I might have to, but I guarantee you, my parents are going to hear this. They're going to think that that's an excuse to say, well, why don't I come up and visit? And so that they might just persuade me. So thank you so much for your time. It's truly been a pleasure, and I hope you have a great day.
Gerard, thanks for having me. It's been a great pleasure being able to share a little bit about art in the community. And once again, this has been a great opportunity, and it's a lot of fun.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Donald.
You're so welcome.
So another great interview with Donald Smith. And what really stood out to me this time was motivations for healthy living. And, it's one thing to pay a personal trainer to, give you that extra push to not only come into the gym, but push you while you're at the gym, whatever else motivates you to eat healthy, work out, basically take care of your mind, body, and soul. This is a different approach. It's immersing yourself into a community, a supportive community that can help motivate you to stay healthy. It's a community centered around health. I mean, you've got the farm, you've got all those outdoor activities, hiking and the kayaking and the golf. And, you've got all the activities around cooking that, delicious organic food and growing the food. And it's almost impossible not to be exposed and not to be influenced, because every time you step out your door, It's all around you. And it's also your neighbors. They're also into it too. And, how can you not be motivated to, and I'm not talking about they're going to motivate you to, lift weights or anything, like that. I'm just saying getting healthy and staying healthy, it can happen incrementally, but it really involves motivation. Some people are self-motivators. I personally am a self-motivator. Because I'm very vain and I like to, and I also care about my health. I'm very health conscious. So either way, I'm motivated. I don't need anyone to tell me to take care of myself, to eat well, to exercise, etc. But some people are not, and they need a push. Well, hey, sometimes, if you do some of these activities, like let's take hiking, for instance. I mean, a lot of people really just enjoy nature. You can do it on your own if you need to think. You could do it with a friend or a group of friends, and you're getting a great workout for so many different parts of your body, including cardio, without even really thinking about it. I just think it's a great idea. There's so many positive aspects to the Arden concept. There's some people that spend a lot of money to go on healthy spa retreats or these spiritual retreats or whatever you want to call them in exotic locations, and they might last a weekend or a week or whatever it is, and then they come back home and maybe they get some residual benefit out of it, but it's hard to maintain for some people. It's hard to maintain that level of discipline. Well, at Arden, you're immersed in it. You're in it. It's there in front of you every single day. There's something to motivate you every single day. I think it's a great concept. And if the residual effect is health, which in my opinion is not just physical health, but also the mental health of having a sense of community, having people like Donald, give you plenty of fun activities and interesting activities to better yourself and to spend time with your neighbors and do and increase collegiality, then that seems to be a great way to benefit your mind, body, and soul. And that is my fresh take. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Fresh Mix podcast. I can't wait to see you next time. For details and show notes about today's show and our guests, go to freshmixpodcast.com. I really love your feedback, both on today's guest and on my fresh take. The Florida Podcast Network has a closed Facebook group exclusively for super fans of their shows like Florida's Fresh Mix. So we all look forward to hanging out in there with you. Just search for FPN Insiders on Facebook to leave us comments, complain about Florida and its hurricanes, which are a lose-lose because if they hit, it's terrible. And even if it doesn't hit, it's terrible because you've just spent the last week running around like a chicken with his head cut off, buying all the water, which you can't find, and all the batteries, which you can't find, and all the canned goods that you can't find. Now your house is full of them. So anyway, I digress. So go there to get early scoops, contests, and other special treats. And thank you, as always, to our equipment sponsor, Mainline Marketing. And be sure to visit all the great shows on the Florida Podcast Network. You can find them at floridapodcastnetwork.com. Keep catching Who's Fresh in the Florida Mix with Florida's Fresh Mix podcast.